Again, we're going to start that review today. Line paper, that's for your one-page notes front and back. We'll finish the review on Friday. Project, I know especially for seniors, your time is running out. You're only 2 weeks away from having everything. Now, if you're also a senior, your final, so I'll probably make an announcement, is 2 weeks from today. The 25th, you will be taking your final. And what I'll probably do is start figuring out what you should really study on, what you really need to study between now and the end of the year. So that's looking at your old tests, looking at review activities, go through everything. And then what I'm going to do probably towards the end of the period is give back some tests. Because, especially for the seniors, look at everything from the past. And then what I'll do is I'll probably have a list. So I know who you are. I'm in the process of working on a list for you to look at the most important concepts, most important notes. All right. The other thing I'm going to mention, pardon me. This piece of paper, I put one on everybody's desk. This is your accountability list. All right, so the only thing so there's another single piece of paper. It's called your accountability list. So going forward, I think it's a good idea for your accountability list and start thinking about, okay, what did I do? What do I need to do as I prepare for this test? Now, some of you have already mark yeses to like 8-1 notes packet, 8-2 notes packet, and so on. 8-3 notes, I think most of you did that as well. Yeah. Yeah, in fact, all the note packets from day 1, day 2, 3, 4, 5, you should have yeses on those. If you need to finish it up, finish it up. But also be honest. Now, homeworks. Quite a few of us are getting really bad with the homework again. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you, so about half the class has not completed 8-1, 8-2. They're in Schoology. If you need an extra copy, you need to tell me. Because a lot of you have those assignments missing. There is no excuse. In fact, last week you had an opportunity to catch up. Some of you didn't do it. And then also, well, the most recent one, the Unit 8, Day 3, 4, 5 homework graded activity, I know one person has already completed it. Then, of course, you have the study guide. And then last but not least, the one page of notes, which is going to be on that line piece of paper. But this list, I will need to see when you take your test next week. I hope to see all yeses. If there are any no's, you better fix the no's so they become yeses. And especially with them graded activities. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, the last three are not yet due. They're due next week. But the other 3, 8-1 homework, that's long overdue. 8-2 homework, that's only a couple days overdue. But that's quick and easy. Day 3 notes, that should have been done in class. There's no, I don't know why, if somebody has to put a note there, that's not good. I mean, I know if you were absent, that's fine. I think there's only about 2 of you who still have no's in that department. And then so on. Study guide we're going to work on today. And then 1 page of notes, that's going to be on your own. That's also going to be a graded activity, which Unit 7 test, not too many people did it. And you got away with it to a degree because the majority of you passed that test. But some of those grades could have been better than what they were. Because I know the potential of this class. I know the potential is there. This class is more than capable. I know you guys are more than capable. And for the most part, again, from Unit 7, except for 1 of you, majority of you did pass. So I was happy for that. Now the goal is for Unit 8, I hope everybody passes. Because then you don't even have to worry about making corrections. Or if you do, it's optional. And again, I know somebody did take advantage of corrections for Unit 7 test. But I think only 1 person. Some of you have options to make corrections. 1 of you, it's mandatory. All right. So we're going to start on the Unit 8 review. Bring the review back next class. Also, your piece of paper. Might be a good idea to start jotting down notes so that when you take your test, that lined piece of paper I gave you can help you. You are allowed to use it. All right. So here we go. Obviously, study guide, first page, email. Well, don't even worry about email. First and last name, period. Which most of you have done. So you're actually going to flip over to the next page. Now, this is a little different. Thank you. We're just getting ready to talk about study guide. And then the lined piece of paper, that can be for when you do your, that might help you like list your notes as you prepare for the test. All right, so we look at the first one. Now, with these, I know it's going to be a little weird, being that how it's going to project on the screen versus what's on the page is going to be a little different. Now, on your test, the questions are actually, you're just going to get the diagram. You're going to get separate diagrams. But if you understand what each part of this diagram represents, your test is going to be a whole lot easier. Because on the test, it's going to be a similar diagram, but it's going to be repeated. I'm just going to focus on only one particular part of the circle. Here for the review, you look at everything at the same circle. But on the test, the part of the circle is going to be highlighted. I'm going to say, just focus on what is this part. All right, so here we go. Highlighters, colored pencils, let's get them if you need them. Get them now. Again, the lined paper is for actual geometry notes. Do not waste the paper. Don't waste your space on the paper if it's not related. So if you haven't done so, highlighters, colored pencils, get them now. You will need them. We're on that first page right there. All right, here we go. So the first one is segment QX. Here is Q. And if you go from Q to X, which is this part of the circle right here, I'm going to darken this up a little. Let me probably see the screen a little better. Is that better? All right, I think so. So who can tell us, what's this line from Q to X? Who can tell us what's that called? You start from the center and you go to the edge of the circle. Huh? It is the radius. Good start there, Jason. Very good. So QX, I lost my mouse. That's not good. So segment QX, that's your radius. You start at the center, goes to the edge of the circle. That's your radius. Question so far? You're going to need to understand these diagrams because on the test, they're going to talk about radius, diameter, and then some of these other lines, like the tangent line, secant line. All right, let's look at the next one. YX. So with YX, you start at one edge of the circle. You go through the center, and you end at the other edge of the circle. Who would like to take a guess as to what that line is called? Diameter, very good. So the diameter, that's YX. Again, on your test, it's going to be separate. But again, you need to understand points. It's like a road map. Where you start, where you end. Or where you start, where you turn, where you end. All right. What about ZX? Here is Z. And there is X. Who wants to take a guess? Well, right away, it's not diameter or radius. Now, I'll give you a hint. A line is when you have arrows. From Z to X, do you have an arrow anywhere? No. So basically, you're down to either major arc, minor arc, or chord. But with the arcs, you're on the circle. This is inside the circle. So by process of elimination, Z to X is your chord. That one, I'll give everybody that one. That one was a little harder. Starts on the edge, ends on the edge, does not necessarily, I should say, does not necessarily go through, does not need to go through the center. It could go through the center. But if that's the case, then it's the diameter. But this one, the chord is different. It doesn't necessarily go through the center. All right, so far, any questions on the first three? I'm going to try to make it a little smaller, but I don't know if it's going to work. Okay. Now, the next one is what? TR? Segment line TR? Go from T to R. So it's either going to be a secant line or a tangent line. Who wants to take a guess? If it's a line, it's only going to be one of these two. Now, does it go through, since it goes through 2 points, that's going to be your secant line. So, similar to the chord, the secant goes through 2 points as well, but the secant line keeps on going forever and ever. That's the difference between the chord and the secant line. Chord stops in, like at the edge of the circle. Secant line goes through, carries on. Then, I'll talk about the next two. The next line, line SR, which is from here to here. That line right there, it only touches one point. So if your line only touches one point of the circle, that's your tangent line. So those, give you all a moment, write that down if you haven't done so. So line SR is your tangent line. Now, all these little notes, you don't have to write them down for now. I will post this in Schoology. You don't have to necessarily write all these little footnotes here. You don't have to. You'll see them in Schoology. So I'll make sure of that. All right, any questions so far regarding parts of the circle? Now we're down to the last two. Arc TX. Arc TX. There's T. Go to X. Now, arc TX. Does that look like it's greater than 180 degrees? Nope. No. So if it's less than 180, is it going to be a major or a minor arc? It's going to be a minor arc, yeah. So then the last one, that's definitely a major arc. That's a no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Arc XWZ, major arc. There's usually major arcs. So X, W. That's a major arc because that's going to be definitely over 180 degrees. So if it's over 180, that's a major arc. Also, 3 letters. Similar to angles, you've got to follow the order of the letters. Even though we could have went arc X to Z, but if it said XWZ, like it did down here, you started X, you have to go through W. Have to go through it. It tells us. Then you go to Z. So it's just like angle. X, W, Z. Arcs are the same thing. X, W, Z. You got to follow the order. Can't stress that enough. Questions? All right, any questions on this diagram before we go to the next page? All right, and again, the footnotes, you can copy down later. You don't have to necessarily copy these down. These are just for additional information for you. Again, you don't need to copy it for now. If you want to copy it later, you can, because on your test, these types of questions, the diagram's going to show up separate. So it's going to be like, diagram, what's this? Diagram, what's this? All right. Next page. I'm going to make this a little bigger. Now, want everybody to go towards the bottom part. These last three. What I'm going to tell everybody on your test. This is going to be good advice. You better take it well. I didn't say it here, but I should have. Fill in your circle first. What do we mean by fill in our circle first? Because we don't see these angle measures, but do we know them? These last two. You think you know what these last two angle measures will be? Now, on your test, it might be 2, it might be 3 that are going to be open. But we did tell you a couple things. To have a couple of diameters. So E to B is a diameter. Now, if you have a diameter, you're separating your circle into how many halves? 2 halves. Now, how many total degrees is half your circle? 180. That's important because given the 2 lines that are diameters, you can fill in your missing pieces. For instance, you really want to take note to this. I have a 100 and I have a 30. Now, there's 2 ways you can get this first angle here, ERA. Because what do we know about the relationship, actually, just between this angle and that angle? What do we know about that relationship? It begins with a V. Vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? They are always congruent. The same. Yup. So, yep, ERA is going to be 50 degrees. This one right here. Actually, that's going to give us this first answer down here. Angle ERA. I'll highlight it, actually. It might be better. So ERA is 50 degrees. Now, what about this next angle here? I'm going to go from B, start at B, I go to R, then I go to D. B, R, D. How many total degrees will B, R, D will be? It's 150, very good. This is 50 plus 100. That's how you get 150. Everybody see how Alex got the 150? B to R, R to D was the sum of the 100 plus the 50. Gotta be aware of that. A lot of us were not aware of that on previous tests. I think on the There was the angles where you had to figure out back on your rhombus, where the angles bisected. Some of you actually filled in the whole diagram. Perfect. But you still did not remember, to add up some of your angles. So BRD is going to be 150. What about ARB? What about this angle right here? We'll highlight it in.
That's an obtuse angle.
Yep. Well, you're definitely right. That is an obtuse angle. So that's an obtuse angle.
What we could do, since E and B make 180.
Yep.
Like we could do 180 minus 50.
That's exactly what you do. Very good, Catherine. So it's going to be 180 minus 50.
So 130.
130. Exactly. Oops. This is going to be 130. Very good, because 180 minus 50 is 130. That's exactly how you get that one. That's exactly what you do there. Well done. So 130 is this angle ARB. Want to write it in? You can. Okay, so we have BRD, ARB. That's why I tell everybody, fill in your circle first. Because now, it's going to be very easy to get our arcs. Now, the other part is, with your arcs, this bottom note is most important. It's the angle is at the center part of the circle. Arcs, angles will be the same measurement. So whatever your angle measure is, or the sum of the angle measures are, the arc that corresponds to those angles, same, will be the exact same. So here's what we'll do. So if we look at arc DC, here's D, go to C. How many degrees is represented by that angle forming that arc? So since it's at the center, if this angle is 100, then the arc is also, that's right, it's exactly 100 degrees. Okay, what about the second one, EAB? Who thinks they want to take a shot from E, A to B?
That's 180.
Why? Semicircle, very good. This is 180. Because that's your 50 plus 130. Exactly. And what about DBA? We start at D.
280.
How come it's 280?
Because that's the last option available.
Well, that might not always be the case. Beware.
Because they added all
You add up all the
angle measurements.
yeah.
To get to
Okay. That's better. Yeah, because you don't know. What if I had changed it to... What if I had changed it to arc A and CBA? You got to be careful. It would have only been 180. But in this case, it's 280. Now, it should, in the end, be such that it's only going to be one choice per row, and you should not have same answers. Should not, but it's not always true, but you should not. So yeah, that last one, DBA, is you had to add 100 plus 50 plus 130. That gives you 280. All right, questions. And then for this one, if you needed, this one right here was 50 plus 130. So again, fill in your circle first. And then since the angle's at the center, that's the key. Angle matches arc. Angle matches arc. Okay, questions? So we want to make sure we understand, because this is going to be the last unit test before your final. I mean, you still have the unit test, you still have the project. Those are big test grades. There's not going to be too much more than that. This study guide is going to probably count as a quick class grade. One page of notes, and your little checklist will be little homework grades. Okay, so we're good with this diagram. Any final questions? Annalie, you good? Andy, Zoe, good? Alex, Joshua, Catherine, Jason, Edwin, we're all good here? All right. So go to, all right, go to the next page. Okay, so next two problems, we're going to use this idea. The angle is not at the center of the circle. So now, does anybody remember what's the magic number? If your angle's not at the center, your magic number is
90.
90. Small number. Magic number is 2. Huh? Magic number is going to be 2.
Oh, you're asking like.
Yeah, because what's going to happen, so let's say angle's not at the center. So you might want to write this on your one-page notes, this part right here. It's not at the center of the circle. So if you're given so now the magic number is 2. But I'll tell you how 2 is your magic number. Let's say you're given an arc. If you want to go from arc to angle, do we multiply or divide by 2? Who wants to take a guess? You have a 50-50 shot. Divide. You gotta, if you're going from arc, angle, divide by 2. If you're going from angle to arc, then do you divide or multiply by 2? Then you multiply. So arc divided by 2, angle. Angle, multiply by 2. I'll put the multiply by 2 down here so you don't get confused. Angle times 2, arc. Arc, divide by 2, angle. All right, so let's look at this first example here. We want to find x. What was given to us? Is it an angle or an arc? What's given to us? The 82, is it angle or arc?
Arc.
It's an arc. So if it's an arc, if you want to get this angle ABC, what do? Multiply or divide by 2? Divide by 2. So yeah, divide by 2.
41.
So 82 divided by 2 gives us x equals 41. So 41 degrees. Questions on this problem here? So if it's not at the center, your angle, use that little chart. Okay, anybody see the next problem yet? What are we given for the next problem? Angle. So we want to go from angle to the arc. Multiply by 2. And multiply by 2 to get this arc.
230.
230 it is. Oops. Okay. Hold on, I'll type it in. $230 degrees. I'll highlight it so you know that. So times 2. So angle times 2 is our arc. Questions? Let's copy this down. Okay. Again, I would especially not at center. This should really be on your chart. Your little one-page of notes, front, back. This chart will help. Go ahead. What was your question? I can put it back. And then also, don't forget, I will post this on Schoology too. So, unlike the previous problem, the angle was at the center, then the angle and arc equal. It's not at the center, you have to follow this little rule. Anybody any questions up to this point? So that's why I use this little chart or idea. Given your arc, divide by 2, boom, angle. Angle times 2, boom, arc. So that's your little go-to situation. Questions? Again, these are ideas, showing you ideas. All right. I think the next couple what you're going to do, I'll give you a hint on all 3, and then I want you to try them. Well, there's going to be 2 parts on some of them. So then there's 5A, 5B, and actually 4 is also the same. So in all 3 cases, Think of, there's your mirror. So think about the mirror. What do we know about these two
That's
expressions?
both the same.
They're both the same. So how would we set up our equation?
7x minus 5 equals 3x plus 6.
There you go. Very good, Catherine. 7x minus 5 is 3x plus 17. Okay. Now, for this one, you just have to solve for x, nothing else. However, I might throw that question. Now, you will get a decimal for number 4, so don't be surprised. Now, similarly, I don't know if anybody's looked at the other two. Okay, we're working on Unit 8, study guide. So we are on page, so if you open it, you're gonna have to open it a couple pages, I think. And then I'll tell you what that list is in a minute. I'll tell you. So open it up. That page right in front of you. That's where we are. Anything you miss, you'll see on Schoology. And then there's also a lined piece of paper. See that lined piece of paper? That is for your one-page notes front and back, okay, Christian? All right. So number 4, all you have to do is solve for x. That's all you do. Now, did anybody get a value of x? Well, actually, no, not yet. I'm going to come around and see what you got. Yes. 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 All right, finishing up. Okay. But don't be surprised you get a decimal. Okay, next page. Not you. I know you're on the right page. Yes. Okay, remember, yeah, it's equal 17 here. Don't erase the whole thing. You don't need the x, so it's just equal 17. And then what's your next step there? What do you have to do? Now, if you want to try, keep going. All right, keep working. You finish up. But what's your next step? Write down what your next step would be. Nope, can't do that. Don't divide yet. You have to move one more thing. Now, if you want to try the next two problems are similar. You're going to set your two expressions equal, solve for your variable. So if you want, try the next two as well, as I continue checking progress. Okay, you're on the right track. Remember, use your calculator. Yep, you're almost there, everyone. Good. Yep. So the next two problems are going to be the same setup. Joshua, next page. So 5A, 5B, same thing. All right, Catherine. Let's put that away, please. I don't want you to lose it. Second time already. You got it. Good work. So next two problems. Same exact setup. What you get for your x? This first one. Good man. You got it. All right. I'm impressed. Majority of us got this one. I'm just going to write the answer. I don't even have to explain because you all just about have it. There you go. Because again, you all know more or less how to solve for these types of problems. So, as a result, this is going to be your value. Good work. Okay. Questions on number 4. Again, all you had to do was solve for the x. 5A, 5B, same exact setup. So for 5A, who could tell us what would the setup of our equation would be?
9x minus 34 equals, yeah.
9x minus 34 is 4x plus 1. Now for this one, after you get your x, are you finished? Are you finished after you get your x? No. Because then what do you need to do after that? Plug it in. Now, do you have to do both or just one? Just one. Very good. Have you all tried it? Okay. That sounds right. Yep. That's a winner, Jason. Okay, good. You got the p-value, and then same idea. Find the measurement of either arc. Good job, Jason. You're doing really well. How we doing, Adeline? Okay, keep going. You're on the right track. Yep. That was perfect, Andy. And then with that one, you got the right p-value. Then just plug it in, get your arc measure, and then you're going to be solid. That's good work there. Christian, same thing. You got your x's, and then just plug in and evaluate. Okay? So you're on the right track. Doing some really good work there, sir. We're doing over here. Okay, you got your x value, p-value, and now you got to plug them in. That's all you have to do. Okay, so don't erase it. So keep that x value. Yep. And then same thing, Alex. You got the number. The last problem on that page. Once you get your p value, x value, plug it in, see what you get. Yep. Jason, that's some good work there. Yep. And then same thing for this one. Plug it in to item 1, see what you get. Yep, you got it, Andy. That's great work there. Okay, keep going, but you got the right x value so far, so good. Catherine, how we doing over here? Okay, great. You're just about there. You got it. Okay, Joshua. All right. We should be writing the setup for these problems. And then solving for a variable. I mean, that's our game plan. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Can I be finished? So. Good. 4 times 7 plus 1, 29. 9 times 7 minus 34, 29. Okay. Questions on solving for the x? Are we good there? Edwin, you're good with that? Down here. Okay. What was our setup again? Okay, there's your setup. And what did we get for a value of P? P was 10. I know some of you wrote X. I'm not going to say yay, nay. Good. Same like before. Plug into either 3P plus 55 or 7P plus 15. In both cases, what do we get? How much? 85. Good job. Now, on your test, I'll more than likely break it down. Or I'll say, get the P value first, or X value, and then find me whichever arc, or whichever chord, or whichever measurement. So you will, but this will be broken down. This was probably separated into 2 questions. All right, questions, anybody? But from what I've seen, what I saw, excellent work, all of you. Did some excellent work there. All right. So any questions? We're good on solving them? All right. Here we go. Oops, wrong. Okay, this one. Now this was more, now we're starting more of Unit 8, Section 3. The goal is 2 chords that meet inside. You know the chords, they're not like they might be like a diameter, but not necessarily. They're going to meet inside the circle, not necessarily at the center. Basically, your setup's going to be the following. 2 times your angle measure. Arc is equal to arc 1 plus arc 2. So that might be something you might want to write down on your 1-page of notes, front and back. So that might be something. And then you're going to use this idea for the next 2 props. But the key is, where do you find your arcs? Now, I believe on your test, it's going to be similar to your review problems. It's not going to be anything like, it's going to be basically you go across. So look at your angle, go across. Look at your angle, go across. Because again, what do we know about the angle and directly across? Those angles are the same measure. They are congruent. That's why you can do this. Now the question is, how do we label everything we have? So, well, obviously, what's our angle measure? What's our angle measure going to be? You can label it as AM. You want what?
72.
72 is going to be our angle measure. Very good, Catherine. That's a good start. So it's 2 times, I'll put it in parentheses, but you don't need to, 72 equals,
99 plus X.
okay, good. So you went arc 1 is 99, that's fine. Plus X, you can do that. Oops, X went a little too, 99 plus X. So that's, you could say arc 1 I'll put that right there. So that's arc 1 arc 2. And again, your arcs are going to be across from the angle given to you. Now, basically, do we have enough information to get x? We do. Well, what do we need to do first? What should we do first? Which gives us, that's your first step. You got to do this part first. So then you get 144 equals 99 plus x. And then what do you have to do? Minus 99.
That's your x.
And your x will be 45. Oh, let me rewrite that now.
And then we would divide it by 1, right?
You can, you don't have to.
Oh, wait, I mean, you're sorry.
That's all right, I mean, but it wouldn't hurt because any number divided by 1 will still give you that number, so.
So x would be 45.
Yep, x is 45. And I forgot to put degrees. All right, questions? All right. So next problem is similar. How will we set up this problem? Same thing. The chords do not meet at the center. So basically the goal is to get the average of these two arc measures. So who thinks they know how to set up this problem here? Take a guess, anybody? Well, what's our angle measure? Given this next diagram.
Angle measure is x.
Angle measures x. Angle measure is x. And then what's our arc measures then?
54 and 32.
Okay, so you can go arc 1, arc 2. Now, does it matter how we label arc 1 and arc 2?
No.
No. As long as you're across, you go straight down or straight up. Oh, I should say just across. You could be either going up and down or left and right. So I should clarify. So then what would be our equation? Let's get our equation set up first.
It would be 2 times x equals 54 plus 30.
Yeah.
Good. 2 times x, or just 2x, equals 54 plus 32. Very good. I should put this in a different color.
And we just had 54 and 32.
Just add them up.
And divided by
Yep. So you add them up.
2, you get 43.
Exactly. Because since the numbers are on the same side, don't change the operation. A lot of us have that habit of doing a minus 32. Don't do that. Since they're on the same side, just add them up. 2x equals 54 plus 32, 86, and then
Divide them by 2.
divide by 2.
2x equals 43.
Bingo. Great job. X is 43 degrees. Okay, questions? Questions on this problem here? All right. Okay. I have a question. Let's see how much. There's only less than 20 minutes. Okay. We'll go for a little longer. How are we feeling? Feeling okay? Do we need like a 1-2 minute brain break timeout? Okay, you know what? I'll do that. All right. Give you about a minute or so. Get a timeout. We'll do a one-ish 2 minute. Relax the brain. And then we'll do a little more because you all are doing very well so far. You all are doing great so far in this review. And then, all right, this problem, similar to here. Since your angle is not at the center, you're going to use the same idea. You have the arc, divide by 2 for your angle. If you have the angle, multiply by 2 to get your arc. Also, don't forget, down here, yeah, that's fine. What should be the sum of your two angles down here? So they form a straight line. What is the sum of two angles which form a straight line? What's the sum of the degrees? That's what I should specify. What's the magic number? So whatever this number is plus this number must add up to how many degrees? That's for the arcs. 180 is for the angles. But the sum of your arcs is 360. We're going to need to know that too, Jason. That's good. All right, that's why I didn't want to totally discredit what you said. So the sum of the arcs for any circle is 360 degrees. That's why I did not want to take away what you said, because you brought up a good point. You can put it in. Here we go. So that's a very good point. All right, that's going to help us take care of this next problem, lickety split. Because now we have multiple ways to figure out everything that we need to know. All right. First off, DBC. Here's our angle DBC. I'm going to highlight it. Oops. So we go D, B, C. Well, what's given to us right here? How many degrees is the arc? 214. So to get to the angle, do we multiply or divide by 2? You got to divide by 2. So your angle, DBC rather, it's going to be 107 degrees. That's your angle. Now, do we have enough information to get the other two pieces of the puzzle? Yeah. Well, for instance, minor arc DB. So, well, I should put two, I'm going to put first 214 divided by 2. Now, for the minor arc, DB is this arc right here. But what did we see the sum of the two arcs have to add up to be? 360. How many degrees do we have so far? So to get the remaining amount, what do we have to do with the 214 and the 360? Well, you got to add these two arcs together to get 360. The totals, you have to subtract. It's going to be, so let me first highlight. So minor arc DB is this part right here. So you need to subtract 360 minus 214. Okay. It's going to be 146. It's going to be so yeah. To get this part, you got to subtract the 2. So that's why it'll be 146. Now, this is 146 degrees. Well, there's one of two ways we can get this angle. Now, obviously, what's that angle going to be? There's only one other option here. 73. Who could tell us why this angle, there's two possible ways why this angle is going to be 73. Who can give me one of two reasons? It's going to be 73, but who could tell us why? Why 73? You have one of two potential reasons. You could either use the line or arc to angle. So what's 146 divided by 2?
73.
Okay. What is 107 plus 73 going to give us? Add those two. 180. So you could have also said 180 minus 107 gives us 73. So there were a couple options to get that last one. So I'll write them both. You could have done 146 divided by 2, or you could have done 180 minus 107. You would have gotten to the same result in the end. So again, this idea, so there were two ways you could answer these types of questions here. All right. Anybody have any questions on this problem? So again, do we understand the relationship? If your angle's not at the center, which it isn't here, not at center, then you use one of these two. And then don't forget, sum of a line, some of your two angles in a line has to be 180. Some of your two or more arcs adds up to 360. And then you can just do your multiply or divide by 2, whatever is given to you. Questions? All right. This last one, well, I don't think we're going to get too far with this. I don't think we're going to be able to answer the whole thing. But the only thing I want you to know, I'm going to type it in, and we're going to definitely use it for this problem and the next problem. So basically, we're going to finish up. So we're up now towards the second half of the unit, like second part of 8.3. 8.3. This is 8.4. Know your ABCs, ABCDs. And then, so same thing. I'm not going to do too much more. So rest is either second half of 8.3, 8.4. This one actually goes back to the beginning of the unit. Basically, use your Pythagorean theorem, but just beware. What is your longest side? And then this part right here, equation of the circle, we'll talk about that more on Friday. So that's really going to be it. I'll just type in the idea for this next problem, but then we'll stop. So basically, I'll type in the idea. If Mr. Connors can spell it correctly. Idea. So it's basically going to be similar to before. You know how we had the circle with the two chords? So it's going to be 2 times angle measure. But the only difference, you subtract. It's going to equal larger arc minus smaller arc. So that's your idea. So, and I'll denote LA and SA over here. LA, larger arc, SA, smaller arc. So that's the idea you're going to need for the next two problems. So I'll probably and really there is not that much more we have to do for this review. So hopefully if it works out, we don't spend too much more time on a review and we spend, you guys get a lot of time on your project and your other activities. Because again, some of us are falling really behind with this homework. Also, don't forget the accountability list, and I'll mention it again. You need to bring it the day of your test, because I will collect it. It will be a little grade, but it's something.